I had a great job, but they insisted that I figure out, with them how to build a company. And so we hung out at Denny's whenever they dropped by, and which is, by the way, my alma mater, my first company. My first job before CEO was a dishwasher, and I did that very well. I didn't know how to write a business plan, and so I went to a bookstore, and back then there were bookstores, and in the business book section there was this book, and it was written by somebody I knew, Gordon Bell, and this book. I should go find it again, but it's a very large book, and the book says How to Write a Business Plan, and that was a highly specific title for a very niche market, and it seems like he wrote it for 14 people, and I was one of them, and so I bought the book, and Lori and I only had about 6 months in the bank. We had already Spencer and Madison and a dog, and so the 5 of us had to live off of whatever money we had in the bank, and so I didn't have much time, and so instead of writing the business plan, I just went to talk to Wilf Corrigan. He called me one day and said, "Hey, you left the company. You didn't even tell me what you were doing. I want you to come back and explain it to me." And so I went back and I explained it to Wilf, and Wilf at the end of it, he said, "I have no idea what you said." And that's one of the worst elevator pitches I've ever heard. And then he picked up the phone and he called Don Valentine. And he called Don and he says, "Don, I'm going to send a kid over. I want you to give him money. He's one of the best employees LSI Logic ever had." And so the thing I learned is you can make up a great interview. You could even have a bad interview, but you can't run away from your past. And so have a good past. Try to have a good past. And in a lot of ways, I was serious when I said I was a good dishwasher. I was probably Denny's best dishwasher. I planned my work. I was organized. I was mise en place. And then I washed the living daylights out of the dishes. And then they promoted me to busboy. I was certain I'm the best busboy Denny's ever had. I never left the station empty-handed. I never came back empty-handed. I was very efficient. And then so anyways, eventually I became, a CEO. I'm still working on being a good CEO. But no task is to me, no task is beneath me, because remember, I used to be a dishwasher, and I mean that. I used to clean toilets. I cleaned a lot of toilets. I've cleaned more toilets than all of you combined. Very long time. Surround yourself with people you love and take them on that ride. So that's the story of NVIDIA.